So I'm here in the Cromwell suite at the castle at Edgehill, and a lovely, lovely place it is. Definitely not slimming it like on my previous travels. It's a really nice building, really nice space right on the edge of Edgehill battlefield. So this morning I took the bike into Banbury and cycled back out here. It's about 15k or thereabouts. Very hilly, but a really nice ride actually, all the way out to Edgehill village. And today we're going to go and take a wander around and see some of the sights. The castle itself is an interesting building and a really nice pub that serves cracking food in the restaurant. It's said to be built on the spot from where King Charles first viewed this terrain and decided that this would be where he would fight. So from the end of the pub car park, there's a gate that takes you down a steep but well-marked woodland path with a handrail. At the bottom, and in less than 5 minutes, you're on the edge of the plain. You can see for miles and miles. Kyneton is about 5 miles away. You can see it clearly. And there's these public information points by the hotel, just telling you a bit about what went on. In terms of monuments, there are two surviving monuments to the battle. At the sites where separately the royalist and parliamentary dead were buried in mass graves. One of them is now not accessible to the public as it's on a Ministry of Defence property, and for this reason they built an alternative monument stone just outside the MOD base on the road to Kyneton. It was put there in decades ago, and it's sadly not that well looked after, and some of the markings have become quite difficult to read, but it's interesting piece of history. If you're interested in this type of stuff and you look on YouTube, there's so much information about it. I came across this guy. If you've ever wondered why those Warhammer shops seem to exist in every town and thrive, maybe this is part of the reason why. This guy paints and arranges models into recreations of battles from throughout history. So this one is Edgehill. It's looking over the parliamentary lines towards the royalists and Radley in the distance. And what he does is he just arranges the units in the order that they would have been on the battlefield. So starting on the royalist left, you've got a unit of dragoons, Wilmot's cavalry, then Wentworth's infantry to the front, and then right in the centre you've got Edmund Verney holding the royal standard at the back of the lines, and on the royalist right you've got Bellasyse to the front and Gerard behind. In the centre, Fielding's infantry in the front line and the king in the rear, protected by his bodyguard, the gentlemen pensioners, and then Prince Rupert and his 1,700 cavalry on the far right flank. And Rupert was to play a really interesting role in the battle, and indeed he's actually a really interesting character. I'll talk a bit more about Rupert in a minute. Now, same thing on the parliamentary side. You've got dismounted dragoons and Fielding's cavalry on the left. In the centre, you've got Meldrum's infantry in the front right, and Ballard to the rear. And right in the middle of the lines, you've got the Earl of Essex, left front. And as you work your way then across the line, you get to the large unit of cavalry again on the flank on the right-hand side. And that's it. That's the way the battle lined up.
You better send Fairfax in.
Bugler, sound the charge. Rook, at the gallop, advance!
in August 1642, Rupert, his younger brother Maurice, and their contingent of foreign soldiers joined Charles at Nottingham. The king made the prince commander of his cavalry. There was an air of celebrity that followed Rupert. His military skills had given him a fearsome reputation, and many British, Dutch, and German volunteers flocked to fight under his command. Rupert brought with him fresh tactics from the continent. At the Battle of Edgehill, he proposed that the cavalry should charge with their swords brandished whilst holding their ranks. These were shock and awe tactics, employing momentum and surprise instead of the traditional slow, methodical charge, which included pausing midway to fire pistols. At Edgehill, his tactics worked. Rupert's 2 cavalry wings smashed their parliamentary opponents, but his units lacked discipline and were lured away from the battlefield by the prospect of raiding the opposition's baggage train. Getting them back proved almost impossible. Edgehill ended inconclusively, but as one eyewitness remarked, Rupert and his cavalry was the greatest pillar of the king's army. He was lauded by the royalists and derided in the parliamentary stronghold of London as Prince Robber, a German mercenary, freebooter, and the betrayer of the Protestant cause.
Interesting story taking Rupert's legend into the modern day. He performed miraculously at the Battle of Edgehill. He's played by Timothy Dalton, incidentally, in the film. And then a little later in the war, he spends a little bit of time in Liverpool. And 100 years later, in this part of Liverpool, in Everton, there's been a pub there for a while called the Prince Rupert. And they build a tower, so it's a lockup to hold drunks overnight, and they name it after Prince Rupert. So it's called the Prince Rupert Tower. And then it's the image of Everton that was taken when they were creating a crest for Everton Football Club many years down the line. And so the castle that you see in the middle of Everton's badge to the current day is Prince Rupert's Tower. And it's something that I wasn't aware of. I'm a Celtic fan who's long admired both the clubs in Liverpool. So it was news to me, but seemingly it's a common knowledge amongst Everton fans, because when they had a vote in 2025 to name the new pub inside their brand new Hill Dickinson Stadium, Prince Rupert, or calling the pub the Prince Rupert, won the vote with 28% out of all the votes that were cast. So interesting snippet how a figure from the 1640s is kind of still remembered in the modern day. And I'll talk a bit more about Rupert. The next trip that I do, or the next episode, we're going to cover some more of Rupert's exploits, which actually happened before Edgehill. But there we go. Anyway, that's it for today. Catch you next time.
Better send Fairfax in.
Bugler, sound the charge.